the economy argument.
This is the kind of thing that I don't even know what to say anymore. If people still follow this fascist pig, then I don't know what else to say. I really don't. It's like, how many times do we have to hear him say that referring to immigrants as animals? Yeah. And Hitler called cleansing Germany of all those parasites, referring to immigrants, and he called Jews lice. And this guy, Trump, calls people vermin. It's the same language that Hitler used, okay?
We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House.
Joy Behar is out. After years of heated debates, viral moments, and plenty of backlash, ABC has finally pulled the plug on one of its most outspoken hosts. But was this a long time coming, or did Karoline Leavitt just deliver the final blow that forced Joy off the air? For decades, Joy has been a dominant voice on The View, known for her blunt opinions and relentless criticism of conservative figures. She's built a reputation as someone who doesn't hold back, no matter how controversial her take might be. But this time, she went after the wrong person. It all started with a segment that, at first, seemed like just another heated debate on The View. The panel was discussing Donald Trump's administration, a topic that always sparks fiery exchanges between the co-hosts. But this time, Joy Behar took things a step too far. As the conversation turned to Karoline Leavitt, Trump's new press secretary, Joy made a comment that left the audience stunned. Even her co-hosts, who are usually quick to back her up, looked visibly uncomfortable. Instead of discussing Leavitt's experience or political stance, Joy went for a low blow, saying she's probably only in that position because, according to Trump, she's a 10.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
The same Joy Behar who has spent years for feminism and advocating for women's rights just reduced a woman's entire career to her looks, and not just any woman. Karoline Leavitt, the youngest person ever to serve as White House press secretary, someone who had worked her way up in politics and communications long before landing this historic role. It was a moment that immediately felt off. You could almost hear the awkward silence in the studio before the audience gave a forced chuckle. Unsure whether to laugh or cringe, some of Joy's co-hosts shifted in their seats, trying to move the discussion forward, but the damage was already done. Joy had just undermined everything she claimed to stand for with one careless remark. Instead of acknowledging Leavitt's hard work, she dismissed her as nothing more than a pretty face, something she would have never tolerated if the roles were reversed, and the reaction was instant. The second the clip hit the internet, social media exploded. Fans of The View and longtime critics slammed Joy for her hypocrisy. Tweets started pouring in. So Joy Behar is allowed to say sexist things as long as it's against a conservative woman? Make it make sense. Imagine if a Republican host said this about a Democrat woman. The outrage would be through the roof. The View only supports women who think like them. If you're a conservative woman, you're fair game for insults. Even people who had previously defended Joy in past controversies were struggling to justify this one. Had she finally crossed a line she couldn't come back from? And it wasn't just Twitter. Major conservative news outlets ran with the story, calling out The View for exposing its double standards. Headlines blasted Joy for her hypocrisy and accused the show of only defending women when it was politically convenient. Fox News, Newsmax, and other right-leaning platforms took the opportunity to dig deeper, pointing out how The View has a history of shutting down opposing voices. They argued that Joy's comment wasn't just an offhand remark, it was proof that the show only champions women who align with their agenda. Meanwhile, inside ABC, executives were reportedly scrambling. While The View has survived plenty of controversies in the past, this one felt different. The backlash wasn't just coming from conservatives, it was coming from their own audience. And when even your own viewers start calling you out, you've got a real problem. As for Karoline Leavitt, she wasn't about to let this slide. Instead of just responding on social media like most people would, she took things to another level. One that would put Joy Behar and ABC in a situation they couldn't ignore.
I would not normalize him. And I don't understand how you say you love your country at the same time as you normalize this convicted felon, which I can say now every day.
The only thing more dramatic than Joy's take is her eyebrow arch. You'd think Joy would understand that normalizing the president is like trying to make the sun not rise. It's happening whether you like it or not.
Joy Behar has had her fair share of controversial moments on The View, but this time she picked a fight with the wrong person. While many public figures would have simply clapped back on social media and moved on, Karoline Leavitt had other plans. She wasn't about to let Joy's comment be brushed off as just another oops moment on live TV. Instead, she went straight on the offensive. Leavitt wasted no time calling out Joy for what she saw as blatant sexism and hypocrisy. She released a statement making it clear that she had earned her position through years of hard work, not because of how she looked. She reminded the public that she had worked as a press assistant in the Trump White House, climbed the ranks as a communications director, and later became a spokesperson for high-profile Republican campaigns. In other words, she wasn't some random hire. She was qualified, experienced, and had the credentials to back it up. But she didn't stop there. Within days, Leavitt took things to the next level by hitting Joy Behar with a defamation lawsuit. That's right, she wasn't just demanding an apology, she was taking legal action, arguing that Joy's comments had damaged her professional reputation and suggested that she wasn't capable of earning her role on merit. And just like that, this wasn't just another The View controversy that would blow over in a few weeks. It had escalated into a full-scale legal battle. Legal experts immediately weighed in, debating whether Joy's comment could actually be considered defamatory. Some argued that it was just an opinion, while others pointed out that by suggesting Leavitt was only hired because of her looks, Joy was spreading a false and harmful narrative about her career. Either way, ABC suddenly found itself in the middle of a huge mess. Behind the scenes, ABC executives were in full-blown crisis mode. When a show like The View thrives on heated debates and controversial takes, they know they'll have to deal with backlash from time to time. But a lawsuit? That's a different level of trouble. One that comes with legal fees, potential settlements, and most importantly, damage to the network's reputation. Inside sources reported that emergency meetings were happening daily. ABC's legal team was scrambling to figure out how serious this lawsuit could get, while executives were weighing their options. The biggest question on the table? Was Joy Behar worth the risk? For years, Joy had been one of the most recognizable faces on The View. Love her or hate her, she brought ratings. Her blunt, unapologetic style kept people tuning in, whether to cheer her on or watch her spar with conservative guests. But at the same time, she had become a liability. The network was already dealing with declining viewership and increasing pressure from advertisers who didn't want their brands associated with unnecessary controversy. The last thing they needed was a legal battle that could cost them millions. And that's when the whispers started. Was Joy Behar about to get the suspension?
The problem that I have with it, though, is she's saying that these people that are going to apply will meet their criteria. We understand that their criteria is woefully deficient and unserious. Right. I think that their real problem in this election, one of the real problems among the many, is the misinformation and disinformation that was disseminated on social media by these influencers and by these podcasters. Why are they qualified to sit in the White House briefing room and tell America what is going on with the country? Traditionally, to become a White House correspondent or to be in that briefing room, you had to have a journalism degree. Yeah. You had to have qualifications. Yeah. So I guess the rise of mediocrity is here to stay.
No, it's not a rise of mediocrity. It's the downfall of journalism, because journalism has become propaganda. And that is why yes, you can have influencers, podcasters, people who are not traditional journalists, because journalism is dead. Journalism is not a real thing anymore, right? Nobody does that. There are very few outlets that do actual journalism. Most of the news that you see is what we call opinion commentary, right? In the sense that you're giving your opinion.
ABC dropped the bombshell announcement in a short, carefully worded statement saying that Joy was stepping away from The View after decades on the show. But was it really her decision, or was she forced out to save face? Officially, the network framed it as a mutual decision, praising Joy for her contributions and saying they wished her the best in future endeavors. But behind the scenes, sources close to the situation tell a much different story. According to insiders, Joy didn't leave willingly. ABC executives had been under immense pressure ever since the lawsuit hit. Advertisers were reportedly threatening to pull out, worried that the controversy would drag their brands into a political firestorm. Viewership was also becoming an issue. While Joy had always been polarizing, this time she had lost support from both sides. Even some loyal fans felt she had crossed a line. With all this weighing on them, executives allegedly decided that Joy Behar was no longer worth the risk. The show was already struggling to keep up with its past success, and keeping Joy around could have made things even worse. But of course, firing a longtime co-host outright would have been another PR nightmare. So instead, ABC reportedly gave Joy the option to exit gracefully. In other words, leave on her own terms before they made the decision for her. Did she fight back? Absolutely. Sources say Joy was furious when she realized she was being pushed out. She had been a key part of The View for so long that she probably thought she was untouchable. But at the end of the day, network politics always wins. And just like that, one of daytime TV's most controversial figures was gone. So now the big question is, what happens next? Can The View recover from losing one of its biggest personalities? Love her or hate her, Joy Behar was a major draw for the show. Whether she was making headlines for her unfiltered opinions or sparking heated debates, people tuned in because of her. Without that, will The View struggle to keep its audience engaged? And then there's Karoline Leavitt.
Miss Karoline Leavitt did not get the job because she's a woman. She didn't get the job because she's a woman. She got the job because she earned it, okay? She showed on the campaign trail that she was a good spokesperson for the campaign, okay? The way that she ran the campaign in regards to the press and the media was good. She did a damn good job. I mean, she got kicked off of CNN multiple times, okay? Which tells you that she's amazing at her job. If you're getting kicked off of CNN, you're doing a damn good job, right? You're doing an amazing job, because that means you're spitting truths that are so brutal and so honest that they can't air it, right? They can't air it on CNN. It doesn't fit the narrative. They got to kick you off, which happened to her multiple times, by the way.
If Joy's exit was supposed to be the end of this feud, think again. The lawsuit is still happening, and with Joy officially off The View, this could be just the beginning of Karoline's rise in the political world. She's already built a reputation as a rising conservative star, and now she's someone who took down one of the most outspoken liberal voices on television. Expect to see more of her on conservative news shows, political panels, and even campaign events. This controversy may have started as a media feud, but it's quickly turning into a career-defining moment for Karoline. But now, I want to hear from you. Was Joy Behar's exit long overdue, or was this all blown way out of proportion? Should The View have stood by her, or was ABC right to cut ties? And what do you think Karoline Leavitt's next move will be? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.